Get ready for the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is Trotta, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Hey guys, I'm Claudia Heuser, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is hockey, the way it should be. Welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is the Rockin' Hockey Show! This is Rockin' Hockey!
Hi, this is BU Hockey, and you're watching
The Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is the Rockin' Hockey Show! This is the Rockin' Hockey Show! This is Rockin' Hockey!
Welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show, where our host wishes it was OBR season all year long, Coach Dave Maksy. Hey, what's up, hockey and rock and roll fans? This is the Rockin' Hockey Show. We got great hockey content, and we got kick, rock and roll music to back it up.
So we say you like to rock, and say you like to hop. See you take it all the way to the back of the cage, oh yeah.
Hey, what's up, hockey and rock and roll fans? This is the Rockin' Hockey Show. With great hockey content and great music collide right here. Yes, if you're watching for the first time, already elbow that subscribe button so you get to check us out all the time. Also, make sure you check us out on the Rockin' Hockey Podcast on all your major podcast platforms. Okay, very similar content. Sometimes it's the same content, but on YouTube you get to see us in person. On the podcast you get to listen to us anywhere in your car. Okay? This is a show where we talk hockey from youth hockey up to the NHL and back down. We got great guests, we got great interviews, we have great skill development that everybody can relate to, and most importantly, we got great music to back it up. Before we go any further, I want to say thanks to our guests from the last show, T.C. Lewis, Vice President of USA Hockey, and blues and rock guitarist Stoney Curtis, from Stoney Curtis Band, as well as Count 77. And what a great song by Count 77 at the end of last show. Make sure you check that out. All right, we got another great show for you today from the North American Hockey League's Rochester Junior Americans assistant coach, Alyssa Sleasman. All right, Alyssa sits down with us right here in the Rockin' Hockey Lair to talk about junior hockey, to talk about her path from playing youth hockey, for playing college hockey, to playing pro hockey, and then turning that into a coaching career. Also, later on in the show, Alyssa joins us on the ice for a great skill segment that's very simple but very effective for puck handling. All right, before we go any further, let's say hi to the band. All right, let's get to it. Buckle up your chin strap, tighten up your skates, tape your ankles old school if you need to, and let's get rocking, because this is the show where the hockey rocks. The music sucks. Take it away, Lord Stanley's brother. I'm rocking this. Yes, Rockin' Hockey merch is now available to you. Check it out at shinnyhockeyco.com. This one is my favorite. Or you can rock a hoodie or this hoodie. Again, get your Rockin' Hockey merch right here at shinnyhockeyco.com. Today's interview brought to you by Trotta. Check them out at trottarochester.com.
It's the Rockin' Hockey Show!
Hey, what's up, rockers and hockers, and thanks for watching the Rockin' Hockey Show. And we have an awesome guest right here in the Rockin' Hockey Lair, Alyssa Sleasman. Did I say that right, Sleasman?
Yeah, that's right.
I've been screwing up your name, and I do want to make a correction when in the intro that we shot for the show. prior to this interview, I did call you by your original maiden name.
Yeah. Just changed it.
So we'll go with Sleasman now. And I didn't put your name tag up, so I apologize. RJ's name. Usually I put it up here, but I wasn't sure which one you're going to go with, so I didn't put it up. So anyway, thanks for coming by. How's it going?
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. It's an awesome space, and excited to be on the show.
How do you like the Rock and Hockey Lair, or what?
Yeah, this is awesome. I walked downstairs and I was like, wow, I didn't expect all this. So it's really cool, all the pictures and the whole vibe.
It's been a work in progress,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll have your picture up here soon. I try to get pictures of everybody that comes on the show and everybody that I work with or coach over the hundreds of years I've been doing this. So you're fresh off the ice. Are your toes still cold? Or
Yeah, not too bad today.
Not too bad?
It's been pretty cold this week, but yeah, not too bad today.
So you're currently an assistant coach on a Junior Americans North American League hockey team. How's that going for you?
It's going well. It's been fun with the first season. Obviously, a lot of learning as we go in terms of the league and the competition and what we need to do on our end and
Right.
kind of get the guys ready. But it's been a lot of fun for me. Great staff to work with. The guys have been great, and we're pretty fortunate to kind of have the resources we do to
Right.
kind of get off and running. So it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a ton already, and been a good experience to keep building on.
Now, you guys have a great staff. Obviously, Francois Mathad is the head coach and general manager. Francois has been on the show. Great guy. You got Brian Gianta on your staff, Steven Gianta on his staff, Dave Pulowski. So you got some really good hockey people on there. And you mentioned a lot of details to go through, especially being your first year. I was in junior hockey for 17 years, and there's so many details every day. There's not enough time in a day to go through them.
Yeah, we were just talking about that this morning, of just between scouting and all the pre-scout and preparation for our own team and video, and then you're thinking about next year too and the year after, and it's definitely a lot of moving parts, but it's been a ton of fun, and just continue to kind of learn from everyone on the staff every day. So it's been cool.
Definitely a learning experience. And I know when I was involved with junior hockey, that lots of times you lean on some of the other coaches in the league, especially some of the veteran coaches are very nice to help, kind of guide you along if you're not quite sure what to do in any given situation. But I know they were pretty good, so we would always lean on general managers and coaches from some of the other teams to help out as well.
Yeah, I think there's one coach that was a really good resource for Frankie, and in terms of just like, what do we do to get started? I think I wasn't there for the early parts of getting the team started. I joined in the summer, but just small things you just don't even think about, like all the things you got to order and organize and the paperwork and things like that. So I think it's always nice when other coaches help out with that.
Now, you did join in the summer, and you came from Carolina. How did you end up in? I think you told me the story, but how did you end up in Rochester?
Yeah, I was down in Carolina, worked for the Hurricanes organization, more youth hockey development. And then my husband and I actually moved to Philadelphia last year, and I coach with a D3 men's team, Newman University.
Newman, yes.
Yep.
Newman, yep.
And then I would go up and work with the Maine Mariners in the East Coast Hockey League a little bit, just some skill development stuff. So that was a great experience, and then we moved here. My husband got in med school at University of Rochester,
That's right, University of Rochester.
He's in school, and it worked out perfectly that he got in here, because as soon as we knew, I was like, okay, it's a good hockey market. So I felt fortunate on my end that we'd end up in a good spot where there was opportunity for me as well, and then got connected to Frankie and some people there, and one thing led to another, and it just worked out perfectly to get a role there.
Awesome. Now, tell us a little bit about, we're going to bounce around throughout your career in coaching and playing. Tell us a little bit about your time at Carolina and your role there. Was it with youth hockey, or was it with the main team? Or
Yeah, it was more on the youth hockey community side. So a lot of my role was, a lot of NHL teams have started kind of like female ambassador roles and things like that. So I helped with both co-ed, but really my initiatives were kind of like grassroots girls hockey, which was great. So we started a new program there while I was there to get more girls not only started in hockey, but keep them involved. And kind of like to continue to play, kind of continue to hone their skills to eventually, join a team and be able to stay in the sport. So that was a lot of fun, and was down there for 3 years, and then.
you were there for 3 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I grew up in Raleigh, so since I was 10, we moved down there. So it was cool to come full circle, because when I was a kid down there was no girls hockey. Like I only had the option to play boys hockey for a long time, so. It was cool to come full circle and see the Carolina Junior Hurricanes, which is a travel program, how much they've grown, and then obviously just getting more girls in the sport was huge.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your playing career, and that'll lead us back into your current coaching situation. Now you played 5 years with the Boston Pride, is that correct?
Yep, yeah. The first year was the Boston Blades of the Canadian Women's Hockey League, and then the following year the National Women's Hockey League formed. So that became the Boston Pride, and played over there for 4 years.
How fun was that?
It was fun. Yeah, I just felt fortunate to be able to continue to play.
Yeah.
When I first left college, it was pretty bleak in terms of opportunities. When I left college, I knew I still wanted to try and make the national team, so the only option was to go to Boston. It was the only American city in the Canadian Women's Hockey League. And so you just went there, and you didn't make any money. You just, you just wanted to keep playing.
Yeah.
There was a great national team group in the city, so you got good training and all those things. But it was different than college for sure. We
a lot of free time on your hands.
Yeah, and almost too much, right? At that time, like the women's pro league, we were practicing twice a week. So you're like. It was different when you came from college where you were practicing every day, you're working out 2-3 times a week, you had all these resources, and you left and you're like, oh, okay. And then the following year, that National Women's Hockey League formed, which finally paid players.
Right.
Not quite a living wage, but something right?
Yeah,
which was
something.
a huge step. That league was really good about pushing things forward, and was able to do that for 4 years. I also kind of started my career off the ice working for some startup companies just to get some different experience, but as soon as I was done playing, I never thought I'd get involved in coaching. And then,
really,
yeah, even in college, if you'd asked me all college, even when I was playing, I was like, I don't know, I just can't imagine. You're so focused on playing that the thought of like going back to the rink and having to do more, you're just like so focused on like your own journey. But then as soon as I was done playing, I was like, oh, I miss being at the rink, So very quickly it was like, okay, I'll give this coaching thing a shot, and just kind of rolled with it from there.
So you mentioned, at first you played without getting paid, and then you played for, a very small amount of money. I remember my 2 years of playing minor pro hockey was quite an experience of living paycheck to paycheck, and I think at one point in my second year I was on 3 different teams, and I was basically living out of my car.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The hockey was fun, but the lifestyle,
it's tough.
It's tough. People don't realize that it's because you're barely making enough to get through the week until your next paycheck comes, but so you can't really save anything, and if something goes wrong, like in my 1 year, the team, actually the whole league just folded.
Oh.
So nobody got paid, and then I remember I was in Green Bay, and I had to sell my Christmas presents.
Really?
Or take them back just to get money to go to the next city of the team that wanted me to come play there. Just to get gas money to get there.
Yeah. But people don't hear a lot of that sometimes. Everyone says like they're just different, like the NHL and the AHL maybe, but everything else, it's tough. Like you got to really love it and find passion in it, even when there's those kind of journeys involved.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from the action to check out these Rockin' Hockey highlight goals brought to you by our friends at Howie's Hockey. You guys rock. Hey, check out this shootout goal by Brendan Piccirilli. Great goal, Brendan. So now you did play. I was reading you did play on the national team and won a Four Nations Cup medal.
Yeah.
Was that before college or after college?
After
or during?
college,
That was
yeah.
After.
I got to go to the 2014 and 2015 Four Nations Cups. One was in Sweden, and then the other one was in Kamloops, British Columbia. So that was kind of cool.
So a lot of great hockey experience, pro, and then we'll talk about college in just a sec. But you did play 2 games in the Tuesday League. How does that compare?
Pretty good. I mean, we start quick and then it slows down. But it's I don't put on all my equipment a whole lot anymore, but I do. It's fun. You miss it. Yeah.
I was looking at your stats, and they haven't put your Tuesday stats on there yet, but eventually they'll be on there. I know.
Prospects.
I know Steven Gianto's still waiting for his stats to be uploaded on his hockey database too, as well.
A lot of PK minutes for him still.
So let's talk about now. You played 4 years at Cornell, and you were a defenseman.
Yeah.
And you put up some pretty good numbers there.
Yeah, I liked being an offensive defenseman. I always kind of considered, even in high school and college, just kind of like a rover. I just felt like, why wouldn't, if you can jump up in the play, why not?
If the coach allows.
Our coach was good about, that was part of, he was a little bit probably even ahead. Right now that's normal, but when I was in college, it was probably a little different, and So yeah, I liked being part of the offense and kind of jumping up into play and being active up there. But I always loved defense, just shutting down top lines and opponents, and that was kind of first and foremost. I found a lot of pride in that.
Well, that's the opposite of me because I hate defense. And anybody that knows me, well, they call me Ave sometimes because they take the D off of my name. But I kind of drifted into that through my college career. My first 2 years, I was had to be defensive oriented because I was playing Division I, and I was anywhere between second and fourth line. I had to make sure I was tight defensively, otherwise I wasn't going to get on the ice.
Yeah.
But then as I became a junior and I ended up transferring schools, it all went to offense.
Yeah.
I remember when I transferred schools and went to Fredonia my junior year, the coach was like, "Oh man, you're a great player. You're going to fit in great because I like to have my center leave the zone early."
You're like, wow, where have you been all my life?
My career has changed completely
Yeah.
since that moment where I'm like to be the first one out of the zone, so it's kind of funny. But
yeah, it is funny just thinking about like how like just finding the right coach and right system for different styles of play, like how it can make all the difference in terms of just the fun part of it too.
Here's another great goal by Sam Beato. Way to rip the wrister, Sam. So let's talk a little bit about your youth hockey. Now, you grew up in Raleigh, right?
Yeah, I was born in Pittsburgh, and then we lived in Philadelphia for a few years. That's when we started ice hockey, when I was about 7, 8 years old. And then, we moved down to Raleigh for my dad's job when I was 10, and my family's been down in North Carolina ever since.
Did you play mostly boys hockey, or when did you start girls hockey?
I played 1 year of girls hockey when I was like 11, so I was actually a goalie for a little bit.
No way.
Yeah, I dabbled in goalie.
You shouldn't admit that to people.
Yeah. Well, I tried to block a lot of shots in college, so... but yeah, it was a goalie one of the first years we moved down to Raleigh, and then I didn't make the boys team for
as a goalie.
So then my only option, right, tryouts are all over. There was one girls team, and it covered like North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. Like we had girls, and it was a U16 team, and I was 11. But that was my only options. I didn't think anything of it. I want to play. Okay, I'll play defense. Like I'll go back to being a player, and I'll play defense. And played girls that year, and then I switched back to boys for 2 years. And obviously that's when hitting. We were hitting at 11 and 12. We were hitting at Pee Wee then. So when I played after my first year bantam, it was like, okay, boys are getting a little big here, So that's where it kind of starts to really separate. And knew I would have to leave eventually. It was just a matter of when. But then at 14, I ended up going to Shattuck in Minnesota. So was fortunate to land a spot there and be there for 4 years.
Now, at what point did you start realizing, hey, I'm pretty good, I'm going to try to go farther with this? Was it when you went to Shattuck? Was it while you were at Shattuck? Was it after that? At what point did you kind of, hockey become really dialed in for you?
Yeah, maybe kind of when I got there, it was like, okay, like, I was on the U16 team, and, there was like Amanda Kessel and stuff. They were all on the prep team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like, but you kind of realize, okay, I can, like, be a part of it. You saw how hard some of those girls worked, and just to be in that environment helped a lot. And then I didn't even really know much about college hockey. Like we weren't a hockey family growing. My parents knew nothing, so it was kind of just go with the flow. And then, as a sophomore and junior, you start getting like some letters and things like that. It's different than it is now with probably some of the communication coaches can have, but. Just started, getting some interest from colleges, and I was like, okay, like, this is great. I can go play college hockey. So I think it was such a pivotal experience for me to go there and be in that environment with so many great players, be on the ice every day, skills, all this stuff, play a ton of games, and with good players, too.
Now, with what you're doing now, and you and I work together, we do a lot of skill stuff together. When you were growing up, before you went to Shattuck, was there a lot of skill development in your youth career, or was it just playing and you just happened to develop properly?
Yeah, it's crazy looking back. Like, we practiced like twice a week, in Raleigh, and that was it. And you had like 2 1-hour practices.
Probably a lot of breakouts and a lot of defensive zone coverage, and that's it, yeah.
It's funny because you look at some of the kids now, what they can do with like the punch turns and all this stuff,
crazy,
and I'm like, wow, no one ever, even the kids at mohawking at 8 years old, you're like, wow, no one even taught me that. You watched NHL, you kind of just explored stuff, but I was like, wow, we all would have been so much better if we had what we had now, you know?
I teach all that stuff, and I don't do any of it when I
Yeah.
play. Like
Yeah,
I don't
well, no
think
one taught
I
it.
don't think I've ever toe dragged
Yeah.
in a game. We've got some light flashing going on here. I don't think I've ever really done a toe drag. I'm not a toe drag guy,
Yeah.
but I teach it all the time and
Yeah.
how to move the puck, forward and backwards as opposed to just laterally. But yeah, some of the crazy stuff they do, and like I said, the Mohawk turns and the skating styles, definitely advance. And we have 8-year-old kids. Like I mentioned to you last night, you and I were on the ice, and that one girl, man, she
Yeah.
could fly.
Yeah.
She could fly. Had some difficulty with her lateral movement, but it's just the skill at the young age now is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, so it's cool to see, and yeah, wish I had that a little bit more growing up, but it's good.
Now, with back to skill development, now with what you do for a living, you're coaching at the junior level, you're teaching skills. How much of how important is that for young players now to pay attention to that stuff? What are you seeing out there that some players like to do it, some players don't like to do it. Some players are kind of go through the motions when it comes to this skill stuff. They're not getting their reps in, or they're half good reps, half bad reps, and you try to tell them, look, man, you need this,
Yeah.
whether you know it or not. So what are your thoughts on skill development from youth on up to juniors?
Yeah, I think it's such a big piece of it, and I think there's two kind of aspects to it with like the technique part where we use a lot of the edge boss stuff, right? It's working on technique and placing the puck in the right spot, and then there's like the skill aspect of applying those things and making the reads in the right time, the right decision, reading a stick positioning and things like that. So I think you can get super granular with it, right? You can dig down to almost like inches, but try and kind of always think back to like what's going to get the biggest reward for the kids or the player, in terms of, is it just a read they have to make? Is it a technical adjustment they have to make with the way they move the puck or with the way they move on the ice or things like that? So I always there's so many ways you can kind of like pare it down, and it's just like you can constantly go like deeper and deeper into all these things, and so it's fun to look at those parts of it, but then also like, okay, what's the big picture here?
Right.
Like Frankie always refers to like, what are like the roots or the trunk of the tree trunks, right? What are the big things, and everything else is kind of like bonus from there.
Well, with what you just said there, let's flip that over now. And as good as these young players are with their skill development, how much are you seeing at the junior level where this kid is phenomenal in practice, but they just can't get it done in a game for whatever reason? How are you seeing that a lot?
Yeah, I think that's the balance, right? Like even I've talked to other college coaches on the women's side, and like we got kids that look so great, and then you put them in a game situation or they have to make a read, and it's just not there, right?
The
the hockey sense,
the physical component takes away from that.
Yeah, and I think that's the balance of not always doing too much with just stationary stuff, right?
Yep.
We always need to kind of like try and include some reads and things like that in it, because that's ultimately what the game is. Like you don't have to be the best you don't have to have the best technique in anything, but if you can make the right read at the right time and just execute it, then that's what gets you success and moves you on to the next level. So it's just a balance of using those as tools and things like that to work on some skills, but then ultimately like it needs to be some reads within it as well.
Now you've mentioned reads a lot, and I tell my own boys as well as everybody I teach and work with, you have to watch hockey. You have to watch it. You can't just go to practice and not watch hockey and expect to really play at a higher level, especially when it's so convenient nowadays to watch NHL. You can watch it 24 hours a day on any device you
don't
want.
have to have Versus anymore.
Versus. When I was a kid, it was Hockey Night in Canada. Once a week, that was the only game we'd ever watch, and I would get the magazine, and you'd look at pictures. That was all I ever got as a kid. And the slot hockey games was what we played. Nowadays, with the Nintendo,
all the video
the PS4s and PS5s and NHL 23, it's so graphic. But I even tell my students play NHL 23 because the way they're showing you the game, the view of the game is showing you how to read plays.
Yeah.
And watching the best players in the world do it can only help you.
Yeah. No, I was lucky. I had an older brother. He's 2.5 years older, and he played, and he was really into watching hockey, and I just wanted to do whatever he did. So I was lucky because him watching hockey and knowing all the players and talking about, so like, I just grew up like being like, oh yeah, that's how you do it, you know? So I think I always tried to watch a lot of hockey and didn't probably realize like how much I probably gained from that. It was just like, oh yeah, I want to watch, you know, I want to see what they're doing, and
well,
now it's so accessible. So
it's so accessible, but you just, you know, you can watch it as a fan or you can watch it as a student of the game, and I try to get my boys to do both. I said it's okay to relax and just watch a game sometimes, but if you're attentive and you can think about it, try to watch how the plays develop. Watch in between periods when you have Wayne Gretzky breaking down a play. I mean, you got the greatest player in the history of the game telling you why this play happened. That's kind of important.
Yeah, it's good insight. And I think it's important to not just look at just the Instagram skills, you know. Well, yeah. That's another part, is just to know it's short, it's quick. You want to watch just the camel card dangling 3 guys, but 99% of the time he's not doing that, right? It's a quick pass or it's a quick reverse off the wall and they're out of the zone. So it's kind of finding the balance of that.
I talk about McDavid all the time, and you're like, you guys watch his highlights, but you don't see the other 10 times where he tries that move and it doesn't work. Or he tries to skate through 2D and it doesn't work, but you see the one time it does, so now everybody wants to dangle like that, when it's a very low percentage play. But it was successful one time, so everybody wants to do it. Not 1, but 2 goals by our very own Mason Maximu. 1 on a breakaway and 1 on a shootout. Great job, Mace. So I want to switch gears back to coaching again now. And this relates back to your playing days too. I want to talk about the relationship between players and coaches. Head coach, assistant coach. And you mentioned something yesterday, you and I were talking about, that you're kind of glad that you're not the head coach, because sometimes you got to make some really difficult decisions and have some tough conversations. And that is so true. But tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that, where you're at now, how that relates, what you remember as a youth hockey player, what you remember through college, just your different relationships, and how it impacts that player and the coach and the rest of the team. Yeah,
I was fortunate. I had a ton of great coaches growing up at Shattuck and then in college. Really great coaching staff there. And so I think at the end of the day, like as a coach, or from the player perspective, you want to know your coaches care. Yep. Right? And then, now on the coaching side, you want to show that you care, that you're invested, that you want, you believe in them, we can, if we put them in the right situation, they can have success. And yeah, so I think for, assistant coaches, Gio, Dave, myself, right? Like maybe we get a little easier sometimes. We don't always have to have the hard conversations, but I do think all the coaches, right? Like we all have to work together to like, what makes this player tick? Right. We have so many conversations about just how do we get the best out of this player, right? I don't think, as a player, I never appreciated probably how much coaches spent on, not the X's and O's, but just what do we need to do to get this player going? What do we need to do to get them out of a slump or continue to have the success that they're having or things like that? It's so many hours. And just to interrupt real quick, it could be just a look on the bench that you give a player, or just a comment on the bench. You don't even have to say anything about the particular play, but if that player comes back to the bench and maybe they made a really bad play and you give them a look and they look at you and they see that look, they know they don't need to be yelled at. They don't need to be scolded. They don't need to be made an example of. They know that sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's something as subtle as that can really make a big difference on a player. Yeah, and I think as a player, like sometimes whether you're going through good times or bad times, like you're always wondering what the coaches are thinking. Yep. Am I doing well? Am I not? And so it's now on the coach side, right? It's not overdoing it. We don't need to meet with 22 guys every single week. Right. But it's finding the right balance of when do we need to catch up with this guy and just see where he's at, and things like that. So I think that's been, I have a new appreciation as I got into coaching, how much time is purely spent on just like the people side of it, right? The relationships. How do we kind of like get the most out of a player, have them have success for the team, but also for their future as well. And it's not nearly as much time on X's and O's, but then there is so much video, you get a new appreciation for how much video goes into it. And we try and do a lot of individual video with guys as well to kind of find little areas in their own games and just kind of helped level them all up.
Well, that just kind of, a thought just came into my mind, and this comes up on every show, every rock and hockey show I've ever done, every private lesson I've ever done for the last 30 years is confidence. And the coach has so much impact on a player's confidence that I don't think they realize how much they really have on there. And I know as a player, this is why I started getting into teaching hockey, because I just felt like if my coaches would have given me a little boost when I needed it, I could have probably extended my playing career by 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
Not that it would have made a difference, but I would have never made the NHL, but I could have probably played a couple more years. I would have enjoyed college hockey a little bit more if that coach, instead of putting a hammer down on me, would have just, kicked me in the butt and said, come on, we really need you, or you're a better player than that, or anything that would have just helped my confidence. So my side of the story is a little bit different. Not that I had bad coaching, but I just felt like my coaches could have helped me along a little more than they did.
Yeah.
And players struggle with confidence is probably the biggest contributing factor, I think, for any player at any level, is what's their confidence level at?
Yeah.
Aside from skill. So coaches can really impact that, and I would like to see, in a perfect world, as coaches, I know they have to put the hammer down sometimes, but do it in a way that player can get better. And that's a tough thing for coaches to do.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot with the guys now too about, regardless of points, or if you're producing whatever, like, just what impact are you having on the game, and we try and be really clear about what we expect their impact to be. And then if points come, great. If not, it is what it is.
Right.
You're impacting the game. You're pushing the team forward. But yeah, I think to your point, it's finding the balance of, sometimes it's got to be a pat on the back, right? And sometimes it's like, got to lay the hammer down of, like, that's not good enough. And just finding, everyone's a little different too, and how they receive it. Like, one guy's going to need a little bit more hand-holding or pat on the back, right?
Yep.
And the other guy's going to need, maybe he's like, yeah, I don't need that at all. Like, just be hard on me. Like, tell me when I'm, like, not playing the right way. And so it's that balance. And then I think, too, it's the player side. Like, at a certain point, it's players have to figure it out. They're going to play for different coaches all throughout their career. And it's not always going to be maybe what they need or are looking for, but it's just finding a way to instill that confidence in yourself to bounce back after a couple tough games or whatever it may be, and having that resiliency.
Yeah, it's like I said, this comes up in for the 30-plus years I've been doing private lessons, it comes up every single day on how I communicate with kids and what they're getting out of it and what they're able to take away from that, and whether it's in a lesson or in a clinic or as a coach is. So anyway, to me it's that one thing that's always been there throughout my entire career as a player and a coach, is the confidence factor.
Your NHL guys struggle with it sometimes, right? Like, look at the Oilers right now.
A lot of them do,
Not many of those guys are feeling very confident, and
it's crazy,
it's fascinating. Like, the best players in the world, and just what can you do to get out of that? It's like, we just talk about a lot of, like, what can you control, right? You can't control the outcome of a lot of stuff, but, like, how can you show up and impact practice, impact the game, and then you got to build your own confidence from there, find some little wins. Yeah,
well, you mentioned a great thing there, and that's kind of the way I preach it too, is control what you can control, because you don't know how you're skating with the puck is something that you may or may not get an opportunity to do, but you can control how hard you work, you can control how fast you skate, you can control how physical you are, and how hard you're battling, and that's really, those are the little things that build that confidence up to being able to skate with the puck or getting a shot on net. So I could talk about this all day. It goes, but I deal with this every day. So I was curious to get your side of it too, and I'm sure you're seeing it with the junior teams as well.
Yeah, and I think just having a short memory too as a player.
Yeah.
Like, I think as a player, it's really easy to get down on yourself, right? One thing goes bad, then two, and then now it starts to snowball. So it's finding a way to stop it, right?
Yeah.
And then just reset. Like, it's a new day, new game, new practice, new shift.
Yeah.
But everyone's a little different. With some guys definitely don't lack any, right?
Yeah.
No matter how good or bad things are going, like, it's the same, and that's great too. There's just a balance.
You're right. Yeah, some players don't. It doesn't bother them, but most it does. And it's funny you mentioned short-term memory when we were talking about Brianne McLaughlin earlier when she was here for her interview, and she said one of their key things for her success was, especially as a goalie, is short-term memory.
Oh, yeah, especially as a goalie. I can't imagine doing that at the highest levels.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's crazy. So Check out this big hit by none other than Wesley Maksy. Great job, Wes. Now, back to the interview. Well, anyway, we're going to switch gears here. Now, this is the Rock and Hockey Show, so we're going to talk some music a little bit. What's your go-to now?
Yeah, I'm a country fan, so
Country.
I'm a big Zach Bryan fan right now, but my husband and I, we like Dave Matthews a lot. Things like Goo Goo Dolls, stuff like that.
Okay, do you know who Claudia Hoyser is?
No.
You don't know Claudia Hoyser?
No.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. She's from Fairport country. She's an up-and-coming country star.
Okay, I'll have to check it
And
out.
she's on the cusp of becoming a big, like she's opened up for some big acts, little big town and stuff. So she was on our show just 3 shows ago.
Perfect. I'll have to
And
check
so
that
yeah,
out.
check it out. She was on our show. But Claudia Hoyser, amazing singer.
Okay.
I mean,
I
really,
do like country,
She's
so.
got listen
Perfect.
to Claudia Hoyser. Go to her website and check it out. But she's local, right here
That's awesome.
in Rochester. So, you mentioned country now. What was your go-to as a player? And how important was, like, especially like in when you were playing pro in college, how important was music in the locker room leading up to game time?
Yeah, I think it like changes the whole energy and the vibe, you know. I think even for myself, like when I'd be driving to games, I had like a playlist of a couple songs. You just roll through them and just kind of, it's like setting your brain for like, all right, we're heading to the game now, right? You just do it on game days and you kind of just, even now I probably listen to some of those songs and I probably get a feeling like, oh, I gotta be, like, I'm almost driving to the rink here. So, yeah, I think it's a huge part, and I was never the person with the aux cord. I wasn't that musically, like, I wasn't in tune with all, like, the new stuff, but the players that are, like, I think it makes a big difference, and kind of getting the room going, and we have a good warm-up playlist. Actually, our on-ice warm-up playlist pretty good for the junior team, so.
Who did that?
You know, I don't know which player did that.
Oh, it was one of the players?
Yeah, I think it was one or two of the players kind of made a little playlist, and it's pretty good, so.
So a funny story, which I laugh about all the time, and I like to share, when Steven Gianta was on the show and Chris Collins, both of them went to Boston College, and both of them played pro, but they played together at college, and we were talking about their locker room music, and I was expecting them to say something like Metallica or AC/DC. Guess what their go-to song was? This is the entire team, not just these two guys.
I don't know.
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston? Which one? Just Whitney Houston in general.
I think it was Whitney Houston in general, but there was one
At her
song.
prime. She was just in her prime.
One song that was, I don't know if it was I Want to Dance with Somebody or something, but
I could see that.
I just couldn't believe that here you are, a Division I national championship contender.
Hey, maybe that was their secret.
Listen to Whitney Houston before you
in
go
college,
out.
we actually had a ton of Canadians on our team at Cornell, and Celine Dion was a big, a lot of, not really pregame,
But she doesn't even have any. She doesn't even have any fast songs. Though.
No,
It's all slow,
it
slow
was a
love
lot
songs.
of just like practice days, kind of fun stuff. But we had a couple French Canadians, and they really liked Celine.
Celine Dion. Wow, I would have never guessed that one. I didn't see the Whitney Houston thing coming at all. That was a complete shocker to me. And Celine Dion. So RJ's a big. RJ's like a Swiftie, so he's a big Taylor Swift guy.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, he likes that.
Good for you, RJ.
Pop culture. He actually likes club music too, but I don't know. RJ's. Oh, we won't talk.
Who's
about
not a
it.
Swiftie though? You know, like, man, you can find one of her songs. Anyone can find one song that they're like, okay, that's pretty good.
So no rock and roll in your. I mean, you mentioned the Goo Goo Dolls a little bit, and Dave Matthews. Any other rock and roll in your? Come on, you got to name at least one rock band that you like.
You know, my husband likes a lot of that stuff, but it's more like the grunge side. So we listen to that in the house, but like Soundgarden.
Maybe some Pearl Jam or something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
he listens to a lot of that. So I naturally just listen to it, I guess.
Okay, good. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So. Even though my era is a little bit before yours, but it still makes me feel better that people still listen to, like, you gotta like AC/DC when it comes out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, especially at the rink and stuff like that. Like, you can't not like it.
That's probably got to be on one of your playlists, isn't it, for the junior team? Some AC/DC?
Yeah, I think it's on the warm-up playlist. So
right.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So, Alyssa, can you share any funny stories, anything that pops out in all your years of playing college and on a world junior team and pro and anything that...
Funny stories. I guess just like, it's just like the craziest game I've ever been a part of. I was fortunate we made the NCAA tournament all 4 years I was in college, and in the women's side, only 8 teams make it. So, but my sophomore year, we played BU. at home, and BU has like Marie-Philippe Poulin, like all these like Canadian Olympians. We had a lot of Canadian Olympians, so it was just like this perfect storm of like, wow, this is going to be a good hockey game. Until 10 minutes in, and we're down 3-0.
Oh boy.
And this is like to get to the Frozen Four. Don't go down 3-0. We finally get a goal at the end of the first period, 3-1. Then we go up 6-3.
Holy
so
mackerel.
halfway through the second, we're up 6-3 now. They tie it up at 6-6. Then it's 7-7, and then so it's overtime. So 7-7. So like goalies have gotten pulled at this point. Like Poulin had a hat trick. Rebecca Johnston had a hat trick. You know, it's just like people hitting posts.
Sounds like an adult league game.
Yeah, and maybe that's why I like them. But we go almost three full overtimes before someone scores again.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was 7 seconds away from going to a fourth overtime, and we scored.
You guys scored.
Yeah, we won.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's why it's a good memory. But it was also just like, I remember like there was a write-up afterwards, and it was like, wow, like where was the defense and goalies in that game? And as a defenseman, I was like, yeah, you know what, that's a good point.
Well,
Not a lot. Just some weird bounces, and just, 14 goals were scored in 60 minutes, and then we couldn't score one other goal for almost 60 more.
Well, you think about it, though, when you get a high-scoring game like that, and people say, where was the defense? But in order to be a high-scoring game, there usually means there's a lot of shots and a lot of offensive opportunities, which they don't all go in the net. So you're playing defense actually more than you think you're playing defense, but it just happens to be that
a lot of volume.
You're getting a lot of shots and offensive opportunities. So therefore, you're in your own zone a lot playing defense. And it just so happens that more goals are going in net, but there's actually quite a bit of defense being played in those high-scoring games, or at least attempted anyway.
Yeah, it's funny if you watch the goal. It looks like pretty slow motion at that point. Basically playing 2 full games, and like the men's team had a playoff game that night, so that got delayed. They went to overtime. Like it was just a lot of hockey at Liner Rink that day, and but got to go to the Frozen Four after that, which was cool.
Well, that's awesome, and we'll wrap this up here. I'll let you get on with your day. I hope to see you. Actually, hopefully, we're going to jump on the ice here in the next week or so and do some skill development.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And we'll let you pick what you want to do. And I'm hoping to see you maybe in the Tuesday League a little more. You got to pad your stats a little bit.
I know. It's been a couple weeks. So I need to get back to it, and
maybe some scouts watching
get
too.
my skates sharpened first. Maybe skates are feeling a little dull.
You can revamp your career. Maybe you have a great day in a Tuesday league.
Maybe a nice 8-7 win.
I keep telling Steven Gianta that hey, you're out scouting. Bring your scout book to the Tuesday league. I might
don't see him taking a lot of notes.
I might score a couple goals, and you might be putting me on your list or something to look at. So.
Yeah, he's got to keep an eye out for anyone, right? Like, find some hidden gems.
Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate having me.
Hey, thanks for watching the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Check out Trotta. It rocks, just like the Rockin' Hockey Show.
This is Rockin' Hockey.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin. I don't even skate, which is why I need Dave and the Rockin' Hockey Show. Question for you. Do you know who the first player to make $1 million was in the NHL? Think about it. If you answered Bobby Orr, you would be correct. In 1971, Bobby signed a contract for $1 million. $200,000 per season for 5 seasons, making him the first hockey millionaire. The first player hockey millionaire.
The skill development session brought to you by our good friends at Pirani's Hockey World. Hey, what's up, Rockers and Hockers? Thanks for tuning in to our skill development session here on the Rockin' Hockey Show. And we got a very special guest with us on the ice today, Alyssa Sleasman. Alyssa, how are you?
Good. Happy to be here.
Now, listen, I couldn't help but notice, but I have my equipment on, you don't, and I think you were a healthy scratch today for Tuesday skate.
The pace looked a little quick today, so I was feeling a little cold, so didn't make it out.
Didn't make it out? All right. Fair enough. So, listen, now, in our interview, we talked about you being a defenseman, but being very offensive-minded, liking to skate with the puck and move the puck. So I want to talk a little bit, or you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you do to help you become a better puck handler.
Yeah, so just kind of some puck skills today. Great warm-up kind of drills or skills you can kind of do off to the side, or if you just got some extra ice time to yourself, that just work on keeping the puck in a really good spot, being able to keep the puck on your forehand and be able to move it quickly.
Well, you mentioned, if you have some extra time, and, I tell kids all the time, look, you don't need to practice for 2 hours a day. 5 minutes a day is better than no minutes. While you're waiting for the bus, you get home from school, throw your backpack down, maybe stick handle for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. After dinner, before you go to practice, that 5 minutes in the driveway, every little bit helps.
Yeah, and this is all stuff you can kind of do, like you said, at home, in the garage, and if you got a few minutes before or after practice to get a few extra reps in.
Awesome. Now, one thing I notice, when I work with kids, as often as I do, is the way they handle their stick. And their hands are never right. They never have a good, strong grip on their stick. And rarely do they practice handling the puck with one hand.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a one-handed drill today.
Yep.
And talk a little bit about grip strength and the importance of having a good, strong top hand on your stick.
Yeah, the top hand really does all the work in terms of puck skills and puck movement. So today we'll really kind of focus on being able to control the puck with your top hand only, but also be able to kind of just keep it on your forehand and how you've got to move your body around the puck as well to work on that aspect of it too.
So 2 things you mentioned. One is keeping it on your forehand. Now, I'm a big fan of the backhand, but anytime you can keep the puck in your forehand, you're going to be better off.
Yeah. Anytime you can kind of not have it in between where you've got to move it to then be ready to move it again, just saves a couple milliseconds here and there that allow you to move the puck quicker and just play quicker both individually and as a team.
And more effectively on your forehand than on your backhand.
Yeah.
Again, taking nothing away from your backhand, but if you're on your forehand, especially in a scoring area, I try to teach players, look, you don't want that puck in your backhand if you have a choice there.
Yeah.
The other thing you mentioned was moving your body around the puck. Now, I talk about that a lot with what's the word I'm looking for? So I talk about that a lot with puck support. Mm-hmm. Your body has to support the puck. Depending on what you're trying to do, you got to move your body. You got to use your legs, use your arms to support that puck so that you can do whatever move you're trying to do. You talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing is sometimes you see with kids, like they always keep their top hand in so tight, but we're going to work today on really keeping the top hand away from our body so that we have that good range of motion to protect pucks, to move pucks, and to just be able to make the next play.
Awesome. All right, well, listen, I'm going to get out of the way and let you do your thing.
All right, we'll go through a few progressions here. So the first one will be just with one hand on our stick. So we'll just set up 2 pucks, and we're just going to skate in a figure 8 pattern here. We've just got our top hand, so I'm a lefty, so I've got my right hand on the top here. And I'll just skate around these pucks, just keeping one hand on my stick, my hands away from my body, so I'm not in here. I've got to keep my top hand away from my body so I can get my body around it. And I'll just start slow, just doing a figure 8 pattern. The puck's kind of just driving with me, and then I'll push it out. And I'll pull it back into my body here. And then push it out. So I'm keeping the puck on my forehand the whole time, but it's really working on the ability to move my top hand away from my body and still be able to control the puck. So you can also do this stationary at home. Again, just working on that top hand control where you're just working on top hand. So now you can pull it to your back hand and then you'll pull it here. Just work on any kind of figure 8 patterns, but it's really just working on the top hand control here and not relying so much on your bottom hand.
Quick things that I noticed while you were doing this. One is you have your feet in a good hockey position, so
Yeah.
you're strong. You can, again, use your legs to support the puck as you're doing it. The other thing I want to show is you have your entire hand on the stick. I don't know if you can open up your thumb a little bit.
Yeah.
See how the butt end comes right to the end of her hand right there. There's where she's got the grip of her whole hand to be strong there. And I speak from experience. It took me till I was in college to figure this one out, but I used to carry my butt end right in the palm of my hand.
Oh, kind of up real high. Yeah, okay.
And then one is I got holes in my gloves.
Yeah.
The other is I couldn't figure out why I would lose the puck on when I went to one hand all the time. Literally, it took me till I was probably my 3rd year in college before I figured that one out.
Yeah.
Now I have a special tape job
Oh,
that
yeah.
prevents that, but I see that with young players all the time, is not having a good grip strength.
Yeah.
With their hand.
And it makes a huge difference too. And you said, puck protection. Like at times, if I'm trying to keep the puck away from you, right, I've got to have this reach. Or if I'm on this side of your body, right, sometimes I just have one hand on my stick here, leaning into the defender. So it really translates to a lot of different areas of the ice. And then you can progress to 2 hands on the stick here. So I would just widen these back out. So now I'll have 2 hands on my stick. And again, I'm just keeping it on my forehand only, but still keeping the puck forehand only, moving my body around the puck, so sometimes it's a little behind me, and then I'll push it out. And then the next challenge would be keeping on your backhand only. So you could go one hand to start, so now we'll work on keeping it on our backhand, so now you've really got to keep this puck behind you, and then you push it out. So you've got to have some good shoulder mobility here, be able to be comfortable with the puck behind you, and then push it out here. And then same thing, you can go to two hands here. So pulling it behind, pushing it out, being ready to move into space, pull it behind, have your body ahead, and then on top of it. So a couple different progressions there. Are you going to be doing a figure eight pattern like that the whole time in a game? Probably not, but it's about being comfortable having the puck in these awkward positions around your body.
Alyssa, I want to have you demonstrate that drill one more time, and I'm
Yeah.
going to zoom in on your stick blade.
Okay.
You talked about pushing and pulling the puck, and I've talked about that in several rocket hockey shows about how you got to roll your wrist again to support the puck so the puck moves in the direction you want it to move, and it's so important when you're trying to execute a move, especially pulling it from behind to get it up or cutting across through sticks. It's important the puck moves in the right direction, and if your stick blade is off just by a little bit, it's going to get caught on a skate or caught on a stick, and now, or you're going to pull it into your own feet. So I'm just going to zoom in real quick on your stick blade.
So as we come here, we're kind of closing our blade to drag the puck with us behind, and then wait till we get here, and then it's a push. So my blade will close here, and then it'll open. I've got to make sure I get all the way around here, and then it opens so I can push it. The big mistake I see a lot of kids make on this one, they'll get to here, and then they're just not willing to kind of hold it that extra little second. So again, it's going to feel really awkward to start, and that's why you can start with just one hand, close the blade so it's over the puck, and then you're going to push it out. So it's just holding on to that little extra second so you don't have to take a stick handle at all. This is the mistake kids make. They pull it in here. Now I have to take that stick handle to my forehand. But we want to work on the ability to underhandle pucks both on our forehand and our backhand.
Alyssa, thank you so much for all that deep insight on just how to use your stick, how to keep your hand in a good spot, how to move it around your body, how to move your body to support the puck and make the puck work for you.
Yeah, I think players can get pretty good at this. They can get pretty good at handling pucks in a lot of different areas.
And a couple minutes a day is all you really need to do to practice that.
Yeah, and if you can get good at this, it really helps in terms of all areas of the ice, defensively, offensively, and then everything in between.
And if you really wanted to get creative, I suppose you could do that same drill with your bottom hand.
Yeah, exactly. You can work on, and that would be a great one just to work on the feel, the difference of it. So I think that's a big thing too, is working on the top hand. Yeah, you can work on the bottom hand as well, and being able to really kind of push out that bottom hand as you come around, and then have it in here, and then be willing to push it out. So,
I tell players you're always going to be better with two hands. Keep two hands on your stick as much as you can, but there are times when you have to go to one hand to protect the puck, to extend it away from your body, whatever the case may be. So having these puck skills, and then one hand and combining with two hands always makes things better as well.
Exactly, yeah. If you can do it with one hand, once you have that second hand, which you should most of the game, it really kind of just allows you to do a lot more with the puck.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Listen, thank you so much for watching the Rockin' Hockey Show.
I'm Jeff Toper, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Check out Trotta. It rocks.
Welcome to Trotta, and welcome to the Rockin' Hockey Show. This is Rockin' Hockey.
Hey, this is Alyssa Sleasman. I'm an assistant coach with the Rochester Junior Americans, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.
Hey, everybody, this is Stoney Curtis from the Stoney Curtis Band and Count 77, and you are watching the Rockin' Hockey Show.
My name is TC Lewis. I'm with USA Hockey, and we are with the Rockin' Hockey Show, and I couldn't be happier to be here.
This is Stoney Curtis, and this is the Rockin' Hockey Show.